Hey everyone, welcome back and happy Saturday. All right, guys, welcome back to Up and Adam Channel 1. And we have a lot to talk about, guys. This actually is pretty insane, the details and the things that are coming out right now. Lala Kent sat down on her Give Them Lala podcast with Brittany Cartwright. And the general consensus of this is if Brittany did not get out of the situation, somebody would end up dead. Like, that is such a huge statement. So we're going to break it all down and exactly what that conversation looked like. Now, before we do, I want to say a huge thank you to all of you guys yesterday who celebrated with us, because yesterday we ended up announcing the launch. Yesterday was launch day of upandadamlive.com. Now, thank you to my amazing husband and also one of our best friends, Stephanie, who really made this happen. They honestly freaking killed it. It is like one of the best looking sites I've ever seen. So on the site, it's going to be a one-stop, shop sort of like hub for the Addams Family community. You guys, we have latest news. We have our YouTube videos. We have reviews. We also have our podcast up there. We have an incredible team of writers, and they are snarky as hell. We have Bravo TV, celebrity news, royal news, reviews, which we're going to be doing of all of the shows, and you guys can submit blinds. I encourage all of you guys to join in on the conversation. All you have to do is go to that little circle guy over there in the corner, sign up. It is all free. So just go sign up, be a part of the conversation, and let's get into it. But with that, let's get into this show. It's no secret that Lala Kent, with what she's saying about Brittany and Jax, like watching the Valley, you see that this is a very tumultuous relationship. And it's really sad. I think it's sad for anybody who's going through a relationship that is this difficult. And also where you're afraid for your own physical and mental and emotional well-being. It sucks. I would imagine. Not really sure. Thank God. However, watching them and watching how Jax is rage texting her and watching how Brittany also, when he wants to walk away from a situation, she's so pissed off because she's like, you have caused me a world of pain. You don't get to walk away from a conversation or this. You don't get to run from it. So they are just really, really toxic for each other. And so they opened up the conversation about ring footage that Brittany ended up showing Lala at some point right before filming season 2 of The Valley. And I can tell you what, it doesn't sound like it was good, because she said on the podcast that she saw the ring camera footage of Jax doing, I guess, something crazy while it was 2 days before they started filming season 2. After seeing the footage, Lala warned Brittany, saying, if you don't get out, someone's going to end up dead, saying that this is really, really severe. And Brittany did clarify that the timeline of this leading to the separation is often misunderstood. But she said that there were multiple incidents that occurred before their official separation, and the issues were not related to Julian Tinsley whatsoever. She also said that her and Jax have been separated for 6 to 7 months before officially filing for divorce, and his behavior just got worse and worse, and it led to increased conflicts. And I mean, this is just like, who wants to live like this? Nobody. This is sad. So word for word, verbatim, Brittany said, oh, God, this is bad. Well, Lala said, so when you went into filming, did you know that it was going to be difficult? Brittany said, yeah, because 2 days before is whenever all of the stuff happened. 2 days before we even picked up cameras is whenever all the stuff with Jax happened. So I knew that it was going to be bad. And Brittany also said, and before that, we had been separated for like 6 or 7 months already, and it wasn't good, our entire separation, because that's when he started spiraling and stuff. So I was like, even worse than normal. So I just knew it was going to be extremely hard. And Lala said, I remember when it did start getting very, very bad, and you and I were driving, I think, to Will and Elaine's house, and we were talking just about what you were going through. And you were talking about some ring camera footage, and you were like, I can show you. And I was like, Britt, you weren't like to a place yet. I don't even think that you had separated fully. It was just you kind of toying with the idea. And I said to you, if you show me, if you guys reconcile, I don't think that I'll ever be able to be around him again. And then 2 days before you guys picked up cameras, we were at the school. You showed me a video, but I said, you don't get out of this, someone's going to end up dead if you don't get out of it. And it will probably be you. Brittany said, yeah, I mean, it was escalating so bad. And those are two different occasions, like the ring camera footage you're talking about the first time. We had so many fights that led up to why I had to separate in the first place, like why I left in the first place. And then the whole stuff that happened 2 days before filming, I had already been separated for 6 or 7 months. She said, correct, Lala. Then Brittany said, so that's like a lot of people, get the timeline messed up. And I'm like, no, 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 no. There were a lot of times and things that happened, and those things happened before the separation in general, and that led me to leave in the very first place. And it had nothing to do with Julian. And Lala said, yeah, I know. This was the first time after. Brittany said this was way after. And Lala said us going because I think it was us going to a Christmas party, and this was like 2 years ago. And Brittany said, oh, yeah, yeah. Do you remember also I came up to the Grove and met you and Sheena and your moms at the Grove? And that was the first time I told you guys I think I'm going to leave him. And Lala said, yes. And she said, yeah, that was right before I left him too. But Lala also said, and that's such a difficult, I don't like when people talk about things like this when they haven't been placed in the situation. They say, well, if this were happening, you should have done this. And there is no roadmap. Everyone's story is super different. But then she said, do you think that you're going to catch heat, the fact that you filed for divorce when he was in a treatment center? And she said, I don't think so, because people are going to see a lot more stuff that happens leading up to it. So there's a lot more that hasn't even aired yet that I have to go through. And I think that people are going to be like, what the hell? And I don't think anybody, I think, some people are going to be like, why didn't you do it sooner, honestly? And if people do give me heat, then I'm like, listen, it took me a long time to get to where I finally had my strength to leave him in the first place. And I was trying to give him some grace while he was doing things and hopefully working on himself. But then you obviously see, because it's already been on the show, I was getting rage texts constantly. All this stuff was happening. And then there's more stuff that I can't say yet because it's on the show, obviously, but even more stuff that hasn't even aired yet that I had to go through. And Lala said, yeah, it doesn't end. It's constant. And she said, Brittany, it was like almost every day something new was happening. And yeah, it took me a long time to leave, but I did leave, and I'm very proud of myself and I'm happy for what I did. And she said, you should be. Now, it was also, is Jax hands-on with Cruz? Does he know what to do when Cruz is at his house? And Brittany said, yes and no. Like, I very much take the reins even whenever he's over there. Like, I tell him what to pack in his lunchbox, his backpack. I pack everything the night before and send it with him. He doesn't stay there very often. He's probably stayed there maybe like 6 or 7 times overall. And that's been for a very long time. So, he's always with me, but Jax does a good job with like wanting to see him and coming to visit him and stuff like that. And if I need to go do something, I can normally count on him to like watch him and stuff. And Lala said, that's great. But Brittany said, but when it comes to like groceries or anything like that, sending lists and, making sure that he has everything he possibly needs. And Lala said, sometimes I wonder, is that just like a man thing? Because I still get messages from my ex and it's just like, what does she like to eat? What is she? And because we're not fond of our baby daddies, it's like, what a fucking dumbass. But Brittany said, how can you not know? But I also took care of everything while we were together. So for him, he's like lost in so many ways. Oh my God, you guys. This is just a shit show.
Season of The Valley, when you guys were in Santa Barbara and you got annoyed, and it was like, I share my whole life and I feel like other people aren't. And then Nia says, because you're going through a hard time, you have to project onto me. And I'm like, no, not at all. This is a reality television show, and everyone needs to show up, or else you make this really unfun and very hard.
Yeah, a lot of people in my comments about that were trying to be like, Brittany's just jealous. Like, no, I was talking about this one specific day where I saw different things leading up to it, which they did show some of it on the show. Like they showed like the fights and this and that. And I love Nia. I want the best for them. A lot of people thought that I was like either jealous or that like I cared that Danny was drinking. I did not care. I cared because I thought that day that there was a lot of things that were being hidden. And it was just that day. I love them. I think they're great. If they want to handle their business how they want to handle it, good for them.
Hey, I thought that was a great answer. And honestly, it's true what Lala's saying. It puts it into context for you because it is true. They all do need to show up in their own ways. It's a reality show. Like, you have to show up. Thank God, thank the Lord that I'm not on a reality show. You want to know why? I wouldn't show up to the house. Well, I would show up to the house, but not only would I show up, I would burn that bitch to the ground if somebody came after me or my relationship. So yeah, I don't think that like reality shows are not for like the faint-hearted, you know? But anyways, yes, go ahead and let me know what you think. And I wonder what was on that Ring camera footage that she thought somebody was going to end up dead. Like, what in the hell happened? I guess give us a guess. And don't forget to go over again to upandadamlive.com. Check out, we have new articles, trending articles, reviews, Bravo blinds. We have our podcast, our YouTube, sort of just a one-stop shop. All you have to do is go click on this little icon in the corner, sign up. It is all free. That way you can join the conversation and listen, go comment, get snarky, get a little nasty, do whatever you got to do. But happy Memorial Day weekend, and I hope you guys have a safe, beautiful weekend. Love you guys.